allowing buildings near downtown to be taller. That's a recent proposal from a Madison alder.
But this after some misleading statements. NBC 15's Tyler Peters spoke with the District 8 alder. And Tyler, he says his proposal has been mixed up with a longtime city ordinance.
Yeah, Mark Maria, Alder Govindarajan says his proposal has been wrongly associated with the Capitol View Preservation Ordinance. The ordinance essentially prevents any building within a 1-mile radius from the state capitol being taller than it. Govindarajan's proposal you see on your screen here is to increase height limits of buildings within his own district. It's an effort to create more housing development opportunities, but his district is outside of that 1-mile radius from the state capitol building, so the state ordinance would not apply. Govindarajan says many housing units within his district are only 4 to 5 stories tall, and his proposal aims to bring more 10 to 12-story units, mostly for UW-Madison students.
Can build more where students are currently living and make sure that the city can invest some kind of affordability model into that, similar to what we've been doing downtown, then that would really help solve this crisis.
Govindarajan says his proposal is being looked at by the City Plan Commission, and now he's waiting to officially get their approval. In studio, Tyler Peters, NBC 15 News.